Playing the wrong tune in the wrong key. Gig nightmares for you and me. Song changed keys and I wasn't ready. Gig nightmares for you and me. Another key change, oh God, oh no. Gig nightmares for you and me. Boom. All right, Gig Nightmares. Here we are again with another wonderful episode. John, how are we doing today?
We're doing just fine. We're dealing with the Canada Post strike as best we can. Every Christmas, I tell you. Well, other than that, I'm doing fine and dandy. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. No complaints here.
So it's kind of awesome getting to talk to you because, like, I've been pretty much aware of you for the better part of like 10 or 11 years, you know, with all the videos you were posting on YouTube with like Super Quest and everything like that. So it's kind of interesting.
So you really go
like,
back.
Oh, yeah. I think because like I was looking up and it was, I guess, around 10, 11 years ago, you were posting like those videos and everything like that. So like, let's see, I'm 25 now. So that was around like 14, 15 when I was just like really starting to get into playing guitar. So I would see all those videos like how to metal, death metal, and like that'd be at like 1.4 million views. So like as a kid, you know, as a teenager, I'm seeing all this and seeing all the YouTube success, and I'm thinking, whoa, these guys are famous. These guys are probably touring around the world and like doing all this like, well, basically that's the perception I had. And it's like,
Yeah.
I'd like to hear like a little bit of what it's like actually like, and you know, does YouTube success actually translate into real life music career sort of success?
Well, not not immediate and not in this way, because what this was comedy videos of lessons. This wasn't music. You can't tour on comedy videos. So because there was no like music that was, comedy or anything like that, it was just kind of us just doing what we wanted to do, just some classic rock stuff, because we had no idea that this was going to go viral. You understand that back then, this was all very new. The whole people doing online lessons wasn't a thing back then. It wasn't until like me and two or three other people that did them that it just went all around the world, that it made like a whole bunch of people kind of go, yeah, you know what? I'm going to start doing some fucking videos. And it's all just, but back then it was completely brand new to have a band that uploads a video of a band member doing something that's musical, but not the song, but like that's musical and funny and engaging and and having a personality, and have that kind of go viral in such a way that your local shows never could, wasn't really the thing it is now. So it's really cool that we're having this conversation 10, 13 years later, where I've learned all these lessons and had all these trials and terrors and all that stuff, and that my music, that I eventually thought, hey, the thing that people liked about this the most was comedy. So let's make my lyrics funny, and just boom, 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 and we're having this conversation right now. But let me tell you, it segues into this very conversation of a lot of gigs and a lot of nightmares leading to this point.
There you go. While we're still on that topic, I want to ask you, just because like I've been seeing a lot of sort of like band trends of like things on Instagram, because like obviously Instagram with like all the promotion on there, it's more so about creating like 10 to 15 seconds of like catchy viral content rather than like actually promoting really substantial art. At least that's what I seem to be seeing most of the time.
That's extremely common.
Yeah. It's like a lot of posts I'll see on Instagram if I'm just going through reels. One of the common ones, just for example, is like you have the four band members standing there with the caption, try to guess which one is the bass player. And then like it'll show each one of them trying to play the... It's like,
Guess
I mean, it's
the
a cool idea,
guitarist.
but the issue... Yeah, exactly. It's not a bad idea, but like then you just go through the reels and you just see 10 bands in a row doing that exact same sort of thing. So it makes me wonder, because like, again, I remember seeing your videos like 10 years ago and just being like, this is awesome. This is creative. I'd never seen anything like that before. And I don't know if I've ever even seen anything like really to that level. Sure, there's been like imitations, but nothing to that same kind of level. Whereas like nowadays, you just see the same thing over and over again. And it makes me question, like, is creativity just kind of like being homogenized into one sort of thing that's just going to be a quote unquote viral marketing thing, or
Absolutely not. It's just that the people are making the content that does not align with the music. Because if you're going to make funny stuff and your music at the end is not the funny thing, when it should be the funniest thing, creates a rift between the people that are coming in, checking out funny meme videos, between the band wanting the people to get engaged in the music. There are ways to sell the music that they have as long as it's good and there's good quality control. There are ways to do it, but unfortunately, not everyone they just follow the trend that goes, hey, I just saw this. We're starving. I just saw this video on Instagram where these guys did guess the whatever, and they got like 270,000 views. Maybe we should do that, and it just spreads like that because they just latch on to that thing that just seems like it works without actually taking the time to understand deeper the nuances of every aspect of their branding.
I get what you're saying.
It's not the creativity, it's the fact that the bands are making their content funny and the music isn't funny. So that creates a rift of people coming in looking for meme videos, and then they find out that this band is some sort of weird indie band that they're not actually into. So there's not a problem with selling the music and getting it out there as long as the music is good and there's good quality control. It's just that these bands that are desperate, they get caught up, like you said, in the trends. They come into band practice, yo, this band got 270,000 views by doing this trend. Maybe we should try it. So the problem doesn't lie in the fact that there's no creativity. The problem lies in that these bands don't take enough time to understand all the nuances of their brand.
I think the word we're looking for is ultimately authenticity. People can smell and really see authenticity. So like if you're like a band trying to do that sort of thing, just trying to hop onto a trend and like you're just genuinely not funny, well, I don't think it's going to really catch on. And same reflects for the music. If you're trying to be something that ultimately you're not, and you just try to force yourself to be that sort of thing, I don't think it's really going to work all that well.
No, it's not going to work if it works once, it's not going to work for that long.
Yeah.
It doesn't have enough weight to it.
And I think it's definitely an interesting conversation, especially like when you look at like a lot of like songs that go viral via TikTok. Like I remember like 2 years ago, I heard it on the like shuffling Spotify or whatever. I heard "Bad Habits" by like Steve Lacy, which I remember just like blowing up on TikTok and being like a huge song 2 years ago. Now it's like, well, where is he now? You never hear about that guy anymore. A lot of people just entirely forgot about the song. Is it a matter of like
Yeah.
attention spans or what is it? I don't know.
I don't think like attention spans is one thing, but it's just that right now we're just in this whole rapid fire kind of way that people view and process content. So you have to work with that, but you have to work with that in a way that you're still you, and it all can work. It's just that you know, like I said, people kind of get scared of the word brand. So they have to understand that your band has to have themes all around that connect from one spot to the other. You can't just have a song that's like a super deep love song and then have a video that's like we got to think of another example of a trend. What's another trend you've seen? Because I don't get caught up in the trends. I don't do them. Like there was like name that riff forever. I would look at trends and I would make fun of them and then have my own little series.
But honestly, I like the people who do that because like there's plenty of like YouTubers doing like the same sort of thing. Like I'm sure you're familiar with like Bradley Hall and how he just like adds unnecessary like shredding, sweep picking into like a cover of like Hotel California or something like that.
Oh yeah, no, people
Yeah.
link me to his stuff all the time. They compare me to him. It's pretty funny.
So I guess getting a little bit more on the topic of the show, gig nightmares. I'm curious to see what you have because like obviously like Canadian music scene, I'm imagining is a little bit different. I still have yet to actually travel to Canada at some point. It's on my to-do list. But tell me a little bit
Cool.
about like what the local music scene is like. What are some things you've run into before?
I like this is the part where where I stop talking about positive things and it really starts to run into this like, oh man, this is fucked. On top of just like, kind of your regular local shows, trying to get your friends to come out and, some of the nights are good, some of the nights are great, some of the nights are just like, there's nobody here. I want to cut the set list to go home. There's been some crazy stuff with some crazy personalities. You'd be surprised. You'd think, oh, Canada's like, at least Ontario is such a nice place. And it is. But then you get to the music scene, at least when you're a metal dude and like And like with me, because my music is like punk metal, and then there's like a lot of old school punk, a lot of crust punk, and there's a lot of death metal, a lot of that. I get lumped in with those bands. So there's no other bands like my bands to hang out with. So they're the ones
Yeah.
I get to play with. So I get to see some crazy personality classes and some arguments and some drugs that I would never do in my life. And yeah, it's crazy to it's crazy that I think it's just time went on, and as my band got more known or whatever, Super Quest, we would still play like local gigs and stuff like that. That was when we stopped playing Peterborough and started leaning our way towards Oshawa and Toronto, more inner city stuff. And us like bright-eyed, bushy-tailed country and small city boys, it was like, wow, this is different. But and because we were actually like a decent band, we had practiced a lot, so we'd come to these shows and we had done a lot of we'd done some great work. But I remember we played this show in Oshawa, and I don't even think it's right to name bands, so I probably won't. I won't name names. If I remember, I wish I could come up with like parody names, but I guess it doesn't matter. But it's this one band was like a front man that was like this kind of sexy goth type dude, but also like tattooed kind of wannabe guy. And then he had
Sort of
his
like
band.
Peter Steele, type of negative kind of character.
Yeah, it was really like that. And then the music was like kind of like new metal butt rock. So it was what it was. And there's the four of us. We're just kind of getting along, laughing along, whoever's drinking beer is drinking beer. Then we go out, we're going out to the fucking, like to the back, wherever, whoever smokes cigars and the cigarettes. And the singer is just laying it into the guitar player, screaming at him. Like, it's one of those types of screaming where you don't remember what exactly he said. Like, fucking you gotta do this is fucking serious. Like, just, wow, holy crap. Guys, it's a smallish pub in front of maybe 70 people. This is not Madison Square Garden. So, of course, I didn't say that, but it was just like, whoa, I certainly feel better about any negative behavior I might have brought to the band practice that week. If I brought any negative vibes, I would never scream at my band members like that. But some people take this stuff so seriously.
I know
But,
it's crazy, especially like when you are playing like small play, because like I've played in a number of different bands, and like so many band leaders who make every single show seem like it's the most important thing in the world. It's like, oh, we have everyone watching us. There's a million eyes on us. Everyone's watching on social media. You're playing a fucking dive bar down the street. There's like
yeah.
20 people here. It's not the end of the world. It's not the
Like,
make
it's
or break of your
important to
music
have
career.
it's important to have like an amazing set, but that comes from just practicing and just, being professional and level headed.
Yeah,
But to just to have these wild expectations immediately, it's like, no, slow down, dude. As long as we play and play and play and just kind of play at the right spots, because you can play at the wrong spots. People used to be like, play everywhere and anywhere, man. No, I will get tired. But as long as you play well and keep going in the right direction and don't
sure.
scream at
Like,
your
I
band
mean,
members.
exactly. Like, especially from someone in like a band leader position, like to do that, whether it's before the show, after the show, it's just a bad move. Like, if you have something to say, you say it during like a rehearsal or whatever. Like, a good example comes to mind since I just saw him last night. I went and saw Ingve. I heard a story from like 88 or 89 where I don't remember if he said it to Jeff Scott Soto or Joe Lynn Turner, one of the singers, right before going on stage playing in front of like however many, close to 100,000 people or whatever, saying, hey, don't screw up. You sounded like shit last night. It's like he's saying that like literally seconds before they go out on stage. It's like when you're performing, you have to be like in a good headspace and whatever else. It can mess with you,
Or if you could be a petty bastard and be like, well, you know what? Then maybe I'll just sound worse tonight. Fuck you. Find a new singer next week.
Yep. Ah.
Yeah, I've heard those stories before.
That guy's something. The number of people who's been through his band. Like I remember seeing the one tour, and someone was telling me, "Oh, the person who's the drummer now. 3 weeks ago, he was the merch guy." And then like last night when I saw him, his bass player was the tour manager and also the merch guy. It's like the
It's just absurd. That's like Spinal Tap.
Yeah, I need to find a way to interview someone who's worked for Ingve because, like, there's going to be good stories there.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Like you'd hear like Jakey Lee be like, "So tell me about Ava." He'd be like, "He's a dick."
I believe it.
Like, and like and then you hear stories. Like I remember in high school, I was playing guitar, and when you're starting out guitar, you look up all the shredders, right? Beyond Eddie
Yeah.
Van Halen and Randy Rhoads, you get into the Paul Gilbert and the Yngwie Malmsteen
Hmm.
and Michelangelo Badio, Steve Vai, and all that stuff. The high school teacher's like, yeah, my buddy, he was played a concert and Yngwie, he jammed with him together. I'm like, that's really cool. So you hear stories of him being really cool, and you hear stories of the opposite.
It was kind of funny. So, like, I got the chance to meet him last night, did the meet and greet, whatever, and it was really short. It was only about maybe 30 seconds or a minute because they did it right before we went on stage, which I thought was weird. But so I'm talking to him, and I have like my one CD. I think it was Perpetual Flame with Ripper Owens singing on it, and he takes the CD booklet and he opens it up because it's a picture of him with one of his Strats in front of his Ferrari. So he says to me, because I was telling him I'm a guitar player, and I'm saying to him, and like I had like the jacket that he wore back in whatever, and he's saying to me, "Well, you've got the guitars, you've got the jacket, you're only missing one thing." And he points at the Ferrari, 150K. He's trying to sell me his Ferrari.
Oh my God, that's a sales pitch.
Okay, I'm getting a little bit off topic. Okay, so you saw Peter Steele yelling at his band members outside of a dive bar. All right.
Yeah, those were like, and like those were like the gigs where we were traveling more. So we were learning a lot about traveling. And one of the things I learned about traveling is that when you kind of stop at you, not all people listening in America have this place called Tim Hortons. It is a magical place known as a pit stop of coffee. Canadians feel their coffee addiction daily with thy Tim Hortons. So we must make a stop. Alex loves his extra large triples, right? So I learned that when you make the pit stop, it's just you go to the bathroom when you gotta go. Or sorry, not when you gotta go. Even if you don't really have to go, if you can kind of sit and make something happen, that's good enough because you're gonna go get some drinks and some food, and some chips and shit and some coffee, of course, and
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna get back on the road. Well, there's this place called the 401, right? It's this terrible, terrible place. It is a desert of traffic-based anxiety and death. But it's the only main way to get to Toronto. And this was before the 407, the most magical road in the world. You ever see Dragon Ball Z where Goku's going along that long snake way and he's making his way? And there's aside from his own imagination, or not imagination, aside from people on the side of the road being like, "Hey, what's up, Goku?" and him taking 7 episodes. That is a nice road. That's the 407. But the 401, on the other hand, oh, so we're trapped in the 401, and the bass player suddenly has to go to the bathroom.
Ooh.
Uh-oh. Yeah, so this is more of a pre-gig nightmare, but it's if you're in nothing else matters, man. You want to get to the side of the road or get to a gas station and go. So we got off the 401 and we were making the way onto the kind of big double kind of freeway type road street that ends up into the main street that gets us to the gig. But there's a traffic jam there too. And the bass player, he's doing that kind of screaming where he's being funny, but he's also dead fucking serious. So
Uh-huh.
there's traffic in front of us, and there's the green light. It's fucking green here. I don't know if the microphone picked that up, but he would scream, "It's fucking green." And it's I don't know what to say. I'm as frustrated as you are, and of course, no, you're not. And but we eventually got off. We eventually, but just yeah, that's just there's gig nightmares and there's pre-gig nightmares.
I mean, it all goes into like what's behind the scenes happening that makes a show happen. The travel's all a part of it.
Absolutely. And that leads to another story where this wasn't in Toronto. This was in Oshawa. And I guess I remember I really, really had to go to number two, right? And we
Uh-huh.
played upstairs in this upstairs venue Downstairs main level venue was like pretty good. The upstairs venue was kind of the more rougher one, where kind of the more underground bands play. And you go to the so you walk upstairs, then you go around this column, you make a right, and there's a stage. But then instead of going right, you go straight. That takes you to the bathroom, the men's bathroom. Well, you go through the men's bathroom. The door's got no lock on it, and
Mm.
you go straight ahead. There's a urinal, and you go to the right, and then there's a sink. And you go to the left, and there's the stall. The stall has no door on it. So I gotta go number two. So I'm just like, I pray to whatever God to no one come in when I'm doing this. So I'm going. Next thing you know, the person that probably wouldn't want to, the least person that you'd want to have walk in on me was the fucking guitar player. He walked in on me full junk out and just immediately walked out just like he had seen a ghost. We've never fucking talked about it to this day. We never spoke about it. And I want to know, like, what if it's like a workaholics episode where it's like, hey, Alex, what's wrong? What's wrong? Wait, you, you saw a dick, didn't you? Yeah. I walked in. There it was. There I was. No. It's okay. It happens to the best. Come here. It happens to the best of us. So that was just like one of those kind of things that happened at a show that like kind of happens in bands that just kind of doesn't happen anywhere else. Like you're not going
Eh,
to go into the work on the average office or even the average Tim Horton where like the fucking lock is not going to work in a sketchy upstairs bathroom that the employee's got to go. That's like that's unheard of, right?
nope.
So in this kind of universe, that kind of shit happens, and you just kind of go forward in life. You kind of go forward with the gigs.
That's for sure. There's this every now and then I play with a jazz band back home called the M&J Big Band, doing like swing music and stuff like that. And a few years ago, we played at a place in York, Pennsylvania called the Valencia Ballroom. And it's a lovely ballroom. It's historic. You've got guys like, Frank Sinatra, Count Basie, probably Dorsey Brothers who have all played there throughout the years. But before the show, I'm downstairs and I'm using the bathroom, and it's that tiniest freaking bathroom. Like the joke I always make about it, they call it a ballroom, but there's not a whole lot of ballroom down there.
That's funny. Holy crap.
Yeah. Yeah, you find different interesting places in your travels and all that. There was this one place I used to play back home called Goodfellas Warehouse, and guaranteed every single show, because like there was like the stage, the floor area, and then the bathroom was like straight to the back. Guaranteed every single night there was a show, you would just see like something leaking from the bathroom running towards the floor, and it would just be like running all down the floor towards the
Oh wow.
stage. Every
Holy
single
crap.
show without fail.
Yeah, man, venue bathrooms, and it was one of those bathrooms where you like it was a whole like option as to whether or not the paper towel thing distributes paper towel, or whether or not it's just there. But all over those paper towel dispensers are just band stickers of bands that who knows if they exist anymore.
Exactly.
And I stopped sticker slapping venues. I'm like, who knows what will happen?
Exactly. It's the funniest thing. And like when I was in college in Philadelphia, I lived there for about 5 years. I would go to like DIY shows in like people's basements and whatever. You just have like maggots gnawing at your legs or whatever. But it was a fun time. It was a good vibe. And I would always try to support the bands that were coming through because like a lot of them would be like, traveling around the country and whatever on like low budget. So I would like try to support the band. And I saw a lot of really good bands. And I would like buy the shirts, and then I would like look them up on Instagram like a year later after remembering it, and the band's always gone. I have a shirt from a
Yeah,
band called Canoe Safety Training, and they were great. Kind of weird band name, but they were great, and they're gone.
yeah,
I just
yeah.
have all these T-shirts. It's like, well, what do I do with them? It's not like the band ever like got big enough that I could then just like sell it for like $50 or whatever as rare T-shirt 2021 tour or whatever. No.
It really is either clothing or clothing waste. Like that's I'm glad I didn't really do too much of the merch on the second band that didn't work out. That really didn't get anything going. because that merch, whatever we had was unsold, but whatever we had, I ended up with, and I've just been using as like rags for like cleaning, you know, dirt and paint and shit.
Reminds me of another thing. So I had this. I've tried to do a bunch of different acoustic projects because it's usually easy to book as opposed to having a live band, especially like a live, hard rock band. So I would keep trying to do acoustic projects. And there's this one I did with a girl that I ended up dating for like a month or two before it just went horribly wrong. It was like Fleetwood Mac, but like we didn't actually make any money. So
Oh, Jesus Christ.
we did this one show and we ordered like a whole bunch of t-shirts just because we figured it was going to be a big show. We ordered like maybe 50 shirts or something. I think we did sell about 10 shirts or so. But then after that show, we just ended up breaking up the acoustic duo because like personal tensions, whatever. It was a terrible idea.
Yeah.
So now that was about 4 years ago, and I still have all these t-shirts in my closet. And I'm just thinking, it's an idea I've been thinking about for a while, and I might do it at some point. But I was thinking about like reforming like the band, just using like the name, just for the purpose of like playing enough shows to sell those shirts and then breaking up said band.
But then they'd end up with those fucking shirts, and then they're going to open up a podcast, have the same conversation we just had about a band that broke up. But I had their shirt, and it was fantastic. Yeah.
This is a fun conversation.
Yeah. No, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to talk about these things. I'm glad to remember them too. A crazy one is the guitar player that walked in on me. He's one of the coolest motherfuckers ever. But he was like, and he was younger than us, and he had like his high school buddies that yeah, they were all like gangster type, right? They were all like the stoner gangster type crowd, and him as like a rocker dude hung out with those people, right? So by extension, all those people were like interested in his rock band because, back then all the stuff was, brand new and exciting. And so if you know this movie called Project X, it's like about this movie that about these dudes that just start a house party, and the house party ends up just becoming this gigantic bagger that ends up being heard of like around the world. Well, this actually kind of happened. So he was at this party, and it was so big that people were coming in from Australia, and it was like on the news, and it was like a massive, massive thing. And it was just like a party that just everyone went to. Then after that party, we couldn't find a hold of him. This was like pre every single person in the world having smartphones.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't have a smartphone. So getting a hold of him was impossible. We had to wait till he get back to the house. And he was like hung over at that party, but ended up showing at the afternoon gig that we did at a pioneer village.
Oh.
Bible towns. But anyway, that gig was so successful that the guy who ran it was like, well, I'm going to do this again next year. And we're going to get a proper like couple acts. We're going to get like Alex's band, which is my band, Super Quest, was added to the bill, but there was going to be like some rappers, but there was going to be security, and there was going to be charity. And so it was going to have a bit more organization, and it was going to be out in a field instead of in a neighborhood, because it was in a neighborhood last time and the noise complaints were just through the roof. So Super Quest plays their set, and it goes fantastic. We have a big crowd. We're all in our early 20s. They're all in their late teens, 19, 18, whatever. We're all 21, 22, 23, whatever.
Uh-huh.
And that was pre-viral days as well. So there was some pre-viral day gigs that were interesting as well, this being one of them. But the interesting part wasn't us, because we played our set. Everything went without a hitch. And I went home, with my girlfriend, but Alex was the only one who stayed behind. It was all his friends. Everyone else went home.
Okay.
And then we started hearing that all these fucking fights started breaking out. People were getting too drunk. They were partying too hard. It was getting into the whole like, yo, what the fuck do you say to me? Or yo, you touch my girlfriend? Or yo, do you steal this or whatever? And just like, if Instagram was what it is now, it would be like party goes wrong, high school fight, just like dozens and dozens of kids just beating the shit out of each other and like having to be pulled off by security. And just like the whole like, hey, this is a happy charity get together, party banger type thing. Just a complete fucking disaster at the end of it. And cops called, ambulances were brought in, girlfriends were trying, you know, security didn't get any overtime pay.
Oh.
And so the next day, the organizer of the event, who had the house that had the original house party, said like da 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 da, something something something. It's a shame that this had to happen at a charity event. And then after that, he kind of deleted his social media and moved to Toronto, and we had never heard from him again. He completely disappeared from that entire high school scene.
Damn.
Yeah,
Wow.
his dad's friends with Sebastian Bach, and Sebastian Bach had actually come to Peterborough one time, and he got arrested because he had started some shit in a bar. Yeah, according to the news, it was just like Sebastian did the whole "Do you know who I am?" and smashed a glass and caused other ruckus, and then the cops were called, and there was a warrant for his arrest. But yeah, he got arrested. Then he was like not allowed back in Peterborough, and then he just started playing shows in Peterborough again eventually.
I think I remember hearing about that. Or maybe it was a similar incident since he seems to have a bunch of those incidents.
I think it was, if you're thinking like Sebastian Bach gets arrested in Canada and it happened like at least 10 years ago, then it was that event. It was that time.
Ah, Sebastian Bach, what a gem.
I love the first Skid Row album.
Oh, the Skid Row albums are great. I just, it's amusing. Like, I feel like a band, if you put together, let's say, because like I remember there's like the VH1, let's create a supergroup kind of show. I feel like a fun one would be Sebastian Bach, Yngwie Malmsteen, let's say Nikki Sixx, and who's a drummer that would be equally contentious?
The Ginger Baker back out of
Oh
retirement.
yes, Ginger Baker, phenomenal idea. Ah,
Yeah, I'm trying to think who's like, or get like Blobby Blotzer.
oh, that's another good one. I think it was like at Madison Square Garden or something. There was like some sort of like big tribute show that Ginger Baker was on. And at one point in the middle of a song, he just gets up off the drum set and just walks away angrily.
That would be like, that sounds like that's some Ginger Baker moment.
Yep. Like, I don't know. Personally, for me, like, it's fun seeing all these other figures, be, if you want to say dramatic or egotistical, whatever. It's fun watching it, but then actually dealing with it is horrible.
Yeah, it's like fascinating to read about it and like listen to podcasts. Like, oh man, that guy is such an asshole. I want to hear all of the stories about him being an asshole. But if I was to like work with that person, I'd be like, you are literally, I hate you, and I don't ever want to, like,
Mm-hmm.
you're right. It's different when you're actually part of it, and you're actually working with the person or for the person, and they have their
Yep,
personality.
that's for sure. I'm fortunate for the most part. Like in my time playing in bands, I haven't had to deal with too many egotistical people. There was like one that I think I mentioned at some point during my one of these podcast interviews. I had a bass player who would refuse to like help break down the PA or the lights or anything because he said his job was printing out the set list and bringing those to the show.
Oh, he's got to do that kind of crap, right? Do
Yep.
you do you know do you ever have the bands where like they're it happens always to singers that are like a few years older, like, and I'm talking like 40 years old and up, where they don't come in and watch the opening bands, they sit in their car until they go on. Like, if I'm not driving or nothing, I'll do like those after set tokes. It'll be like, my band or something like that, and then someone else and the headliner. So I'd finish my set and I'd go get baked. And then on the way to getting baked, there's the fuck guy parked on the street in his car smoking cigarettes, just going, hey, what's going on? Like, what? What do you mean what's going on? Like, where have you been? That's happened like 3 or 4 times, I swear to God. They're like diva singers over the age of 40 that, you know, can't sing that high. They're in the range of you guys don't have this band called 5440. They're a Canadian band where they're really good, but their songs have like a really low register, so cover bands eat them up.
Okay.
Yeah, they would find the low range vocal covers and do those. and those are the singers that would sit in their fucking car. Do like "Rockin' in the Free World" by Neil Young. It's just super easy. That'd be their encore.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
But then again, at least fortunately, I haven't really worked with a lot of singers who have just been like, egotistical like that. Like at least in my current band, 80s Revolution, like all the singers, because we have like the three female singers, they're all, they're great team players. They show up, they help out with the, loading out gear and stuff like that. They're great. And like that's been the
yeah,
case with most of the bands I've played in. But in terms of like, when you were mentioning like, I guess easy songs for singers to sing. I was thinking of like it reminded me of like kind of like a polar opposite I saw about a month and a half ago. I went to Nashville for the first time, and it was like seeing all the different cover bands playing down there on the bars and clubs in Broadway. And this one band, I don't remember the name, but the female singer, in between like they don't really have set breaks there on Nashville. You pretty much just play for like 4 hours straight, which is insane to me, but that's what they do. So to do that, you have your band members switching off on lead vocals. Like, okay, here's the lead vocalist. They sing 3-4 songs in a row. Now let's have the guitar player sing. That's what they do down there. Because otherwise, how do you get through a 4-hour show? So the lead singer, she when she's not singing, she gets off stage, takes a shot, takes a huge rip from the her jewel or her vape or pen or whatever, has another shot, and like then she just gets back up on stage and she's like belting out these songs, and it's awesome. Like there's like a really raspy rock tone, but like I'm just looking at and it's like, how the hell are you doing this? Like just rip it, like throwing back shots and like ripping. It's like then you just go and sing like Magic Man by Heart or something. It's like, how the hell do people do that? It's insane.
the fact that you just said Magic Man, because before getting back with kind of Shockwire and getting my trajectory back, I was doing cover shows, but I made good money by doing songs that had like high vocals that not everyone else could do. I got great tips and stuff like that. So it would
You've got a
be,
great voice.
well, thank you very much. And like, I could like sing Magic Man now that I can think of it. And it's fact to be a cool song to add to the set list. But like right now I'm benefiting from my original music, which is great. But just think like, yeah, Magic Man would be an unheard of cover around here. It's just like the standard of what you're telling me is just far greater. It's something I would like to go to Nashville and just be humbled and just sit and listen, go home with a bunch of knowledge.
We went to John Bon Jovi's bar that opened up fairly recently, I think earlier this year. And there was like a few different bands that were playing, but the one band we went, Tyson Leslie, who's the touring keyboardist for Vixen and a bunch of other bands, he was playing with them. Pretty much you can go up to any band, request for like $20. Hey, I want you to play this song. And the majority of the times they'll do it. Or if they don't really know it, they'll like look up, like all the bands have like their cell phones, iPhones or iPads on the mic stand, and they look up how the song goes. It's
Yeah,
actually
they can
really
flesh it
impressive.
out. Man, they can
Yeah.
flesh it out as pros. Like I don't really know how to play like, for example, Living on a Prayer. I've never really sat down and messed with it. But if someone were to be like, do you know how to play it? And I had like a bassist and a drummer and whatever, it's super possible to learn based on like the familiarity of the notes and how many times we've heard the song.
It's been funny. I've had it, playing acoustic. I've had it happen a few times where it's like, let's say Jesse's Girl is on the set list or whatever, but someone walks up to me before we've played and says, I'll pay you $20 to play Jesse's Girl. It's like, oh, cool. We were going to play it anyway. So yeah, we'll take your money.
And that's a good strategy. I never thought of that.
Yeah, it works. And then in Nashville, like a lot of there's like certain songs like Freebird where like we'll play Freebird, but that's $100 song, and then like they just get everyone to pool in the money for it. It's impressive.
Yeah, that is cool. I remember seeing like memes or not memes, but like posts on Facebook groups of like cover bands, like Cover Band Central or whatever, and it had like the amount of money it costs for certain covers, and like as the cover gets more hated, the price gets bigger.
Yep.
And then
I
at
think
the
it's
end of it,
awesome.
it's like not in your life, but and you know what? Everybody has a not in your life, but song. So what is a
Hmm.
song that like if someone were to tell you to do it, you'd be like, I fucking hate this song, I will not do it. Or if I do it, I will be miserable and you will not have a charismatic performance. Do you have a song like that? Like someone I know has Free Fallen, which is a great
Uh,
example.
well, at least for me, you say it, and the first one that comes to my mind because I used to play with another band that I don't mention for reasons.
Sure.
We used to do Mr. Jones by Counting Crows. I hate that song with a burning passion. Can't stand it.
Do you hate it because of the band, or do you hate it because you hated it before and then playing it with the band just made it worse?
Honestly, probably both. Probably leaning towards like the second thing you said, but like a little bit of both. Because like, well, the first time I heard it and like I was hearing the guy, na 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 na, I'm thinking this is just like a moodier 2000s version of Brown Eyed Girl by Van Morrison, which
Yeah,
that's
that's what it
another
sounded
overplayed
like when
song.
you
So it's
said
like,
that.
yeah, exactly. It's like literally just kind of like a worse version of that song. I don't even like Brown Eyed Girl that much to begin with. So it's like, that's
No.
just two negatives right there. That song is just like, guitar players like you and me, where we like a lot like more of like the riffs and like the technical stuff and cool solos and whatever. That's the complete opposite kind of guitar playing. You're just like strumming some chords or whatever. It's just
Dude.
very much like 3 or 4 minutes of just you're standing there on autopilot. It would be a shame because like when I was playing with that band, that was usually like a first set song, and people would come up to me and they would say, "Hey Max, you're kind of bored. You look kind of bored. You need a beer." And it's like if you're playing songs where you're thinking, "I need a beer to get through this," that's probably not signs of a good set list, or it's not a good gig.
Yeah.
And I think it's good for like musicians to be aware of that sort of thing with
And the song
themselves.
isn't like a make or break song. Like it's not like deleting the song off the set list is suddenly going to drop the entire quality of your band. It's like no, you just find a good song that everyone likes that also just has
Yeah.
that same kind of quality to it.
Yeah. Like I've been in a band leader situation or like important decision in band sort of situation a few times. And I've always had the sort of belief where it's like, I don't know where the mindset sort of came from, where it's like, oh, this is the first set song, this is the second set sort of song, this is the third set. I personally have the belief that if you're going to have a song in your set list as a cover band, every song should strive to be like a third set. Yeah, this is awesome kind of song, Because like at least me personally, like if I'm going out to go see a band and their first set is just a bunch of like, just boring songs, why would I want to stick around for sets 2 or 3? That's just
Yeah.
my logic as a consumer.
Well, I wouldn't put boring safe songs as the first set list. Like when I was doing the set list, I would do like a whole like kind of like up and down kind of beat. You blow the listeners away with like three gas high register covers, like fucking downtown blues, and then you slow ride by fog. And then you do something else, bam, 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 and then it kind of goes down into the bluesy category a bit, and then you end the set with like some epic shit. And because we can take breaks, Nashville, for some fucking reason, we're allowed to take
Yeah.
breaks, and our breaks rule because we mingle. They're like, "Do you have original music?" And they're like, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, I do have original music." So it all works. It all works out at the end. There's purpose behind the break. Nashville. Petition to have Nashville sets take break. No, I'm just kidding. 5 minutes of straight music, 5 hours of straight music sounds dope. Anyway, what was the point I was making? Yeah. So all my sets were designed to just kind of have like an up and down peak where it brings in energy, calms down, puts the energy back, and then makes you want more. And I kind of do that times 3 or 4. And that's how I like to do it. It's and what's funny is that when I do my Shockwire set lists, I organize by songs by my singing, but I make sure that whatever songs are put where are fucking hilarious and the right place to put it and all that kind of stuff. But I have songs where I sing high and I have songs where I sing lower and they all have the same like, let's go.
Let me ask you another question. So we're doing a show, like my acoustic trio, we're doing a show in about a week from now. We were building the set list and we had the idea, why not just do, rather than like think of like timing, how long each song is, key changes, whatever, rather than thinking about all that when putting the set list together, why not just put all of these songs in alphabetical order and see how that works live? So we're going to try that and see. You ever
That's a
tried doing anything like
fantastic
that before?
idea. No, because because probably I add more covers to it because I don't have the band. I just have backing tracks of when
Yeah.
I play songs and I get requests or I hear something on the radio. So the set list is always changing based purely on interest for the covers I find and the covers I do. So I never really gotten to a point where like, okay, I have a set amount of songs that I have, and hey, let's mess with that order. I never really had that. I just always thought, oh, okay, that was good, but what if we add this song instead? And plus, I enjoy just playing the music, so and like playing the set list in that order. Plus, I like having the set list kind of memorized a little bit, so I don't have to read the sheets of paper too much. I kind of just instinctively know what's next for the most part, and I can just engage with the crowd properly. And yeah, so there's your answer there. But to think of like kind of rotating stuff around that for kind of playful reasons like that, I think that's a great idea.
Do you have any more stories, pertaining to gig nightmares? I feel like we just keep going off on like indulging in my long tangents. And it's been great.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, absolutely. Well, so going back to the topic of pre-Shockwire shows, this is really what
uh-huh.
going viral kind of sorry, not pre-Shockwire shows, pre-Superquest going viral shows. This is where going viral kind of saved the day. So we so about that same year, maybe not the same year. It would be about this next year and a half, maybe something like that. So there was a battle of bands in Toronto. It was like Hard Rock Cafe's Hard Rock Rising event. So we go in, and again, going into Toronto, right at Pussy Tail, young musicians. Not many of us got our beards. I still don't really grow the beard that much. But the Toronto music scene's a bit more rugged, it's a bit more experienced. There's a higher standard of quality. And we're here to get it. We're here to try to have music careers, god damn it. So
Mm-hmm.
we win the first fucking round. Holy shit. We actually win the first round. We had no idea. We just played our set, did what we normally do. But we were different enough. There was like indie music was emerging at the time, and there wasn't really like really hard that many like harder hard rock bands. I guess there were, but they were just kind of different. They just didn't have that classic edge to it. So there's the four of us. I have a Duff shirt on. So the vibes already are different and we win. So we go on to the finals after all the other rounds happen and we make it to the finals and we start playing our set. And so next thing we know, and this is all kind of like bits of different conversations and my own perspective kind of put together and what I would consider to be the facts. So the bass amp starts to cut out.
Mm.
And then the headset for the drummer that listens to the other instruments starts to cut out. And then my guitar amp cuts out. So there's only Alex on guitar just surviving this whole ordeal of Murphy's Law of a set list of everything just coming apart in front of us. And to this day, we think it's a sabotage, and we're not naming names, but to this day, we think it's a sabotage of this manager that managed the band that won. Because he went
Mm.
to all the other set lists and watched every other band. So he knew what he could be ready for. And this is going to sound arrogant, but I really do think, and just based on what happened and the coincidences of the circumstances and what happens after, they thought they had a meeting and said, this band's going to destroy us. We need to win first place by any means necessary. And they chose to sabotage the set. The sound tech got tipped and the set unfolded in such a way that never happened again. We played a cover show. Sorry, not a cover show. We played a 3 set list show the week after, and all of our gear worked.
Huh.
So we lose gracefully. If the mic didn't pick that up, we lose gracefully. Oh, yeah. I'm still a good sport. I'm still gonna cheer on. Like, we didn't know we lost yet, but even though we had got our set sabotaged, and even bands that were playing before us, I was still cheering and having fun and being me or whatever.
Yeah.
So time goes by, and we get this message from this lady. And it's like, "Hi, I was at the show. Your lead singer was booing the other band, saying they suck and all this and that," which was not true, but that's what she was saying. And she was saying that, "And I know a lot of people this will get around." And she posted on her wall on Facebook, and that shit blew up.
Huh.
These false allegations against me blew up. And so I respond to this girl, "Hello, Kim. I'm sorry, like, just being as professional as I can. I'm sorry for any inconvenience. That's not what happened. We were actually cheering on the band, and like our manager came in to like say no. Everyone came in to say no, but at the same time, we were getting tons of heat from bands we had played with before, suddenly coming out. Maybe not a ton of bands, but two is more than enough. Coming out and saying, yeah, we play with these guys. They're nothing but a bunch of losers." But here's the mysterious part of this profile. There's nothing to this profile. Just a few friends, just a few posts, going to Florida here and there. All these posts kind of exist around the time of this Battle of the Bands. So then Euphoria comes in. Sorry, I shouldn't have named names, but the band comes in to save the day. "Oh no, John never booed us. They were very supportive and we're very supportive of them." And then it died down. But the mysterious thing is that profile died too. So the timing of that profile, where nothing existed before the timing of the Battle of Bands, and the access of the profile post Battle of the Bands, you can look it up if I gave you the name. It's there. That person never did anything after the event. So my thought is that the manager made this fake profile to fake smack talk me so they can save the day and make their victory look that much better.
Damn.
And if that was what they wanted to do, that is the lowest thing you can do as a band. That is one of the lowest things you can do as a band that's not like violence or embezzlement. Like, if there's a difference between winning and there's a difference between losing, and then there's being a fucking loser and cheating to win. But there's good to the end of this, because after all this, Super Quest goes viral. New fans, new chapter, new people, new everything. All of that stuff, ancient history. But hey, it
Damn.
gets better. Now, we never topped that band in terms of streams. They had their contracts and their record labels and their appearances on NHL games. The salt is huge. But Shockwire has, through honest hard work and just keeping at it, staying honest, and, not being mean or anything like that, and keeping the quality control and all that stuff, my music has gone past theirs. So that whole chapter is deleted. So at the end of the day, guys, cheating never wins. Cheating doesn't work at the end of the day, because if you're going to cheat, that means you're not going to learn the real steps it takes to get from point A to B, if that's what you want to do. I'm not saying my way is the universal right way of doing it, but I'll tell you one thing, that cheating is not the way to do it. Now that's a nightmare.
But like you said, I mean, all the work that you put in, since then, remaining true to yourself, authenticity, you've managed to surpass them. That's awesome.
I've managed to survive.
Like, how many people can really say that,
I'm super grateful. I've just managed to survive, and it's obviously really hard to like not message these people and go fuck you, but that'll never make you look good. So I've done my best to try and stay as on the surface as a good sport as I can, despite the fact that shit really did suck, and it was caused by
Yeah.
like bad people.
But again, you managed to like rise above that and just do something really amazing. Like, again, like I've been seeing like obviously all your Facebook posts and everything, and I'm seeing like more new songs going viral, and it's awesome to see. Because like, again, like I just think back to like me being younger, seeing all these videos, sharing them with all my friends, being like, look at this. This is awesome. This is the coolest thing in the world. And here we are doing it again. And just, it's awesome.
Yeah, I
you're
really
creating
appreciate
just
that.
genuinely original, awesome, funny stuff. It's awesome.
And I'm glad to do it with music. I wasn't comfortable doing it as the whole like go viral with lessons. Like there are people with successful YouTube career, musician careers that make it work for them. I just never really enjoyed it. I'm too much of a musician and performer to like not want to do that yet.
I gotcha. Before we wrap things up, is there anything else you want to be saying, while we're still talking, while I still have you here?
I don't know. I just it's crazy if this wasn't even like all of the gig nightmares I've been through. There's like but those are some like pretty much the heavy early stories ones are some like really interesting one because like you're kind of like what you were talking about how like there's these beginnings and then here we are again after all those crazy beginnings. So I'm really glad that I got to talk to this stuff, like talk about this stuff. I'm really glad I got to talk to you about this stuff. It's really awesome. Like I didn't really know you were there for that long. To think that you were there for like the early days, the super early days of just nervous me uploading online and like not knowing what's going on. This is crazy. And like thinking that like you stuck around for all these years because not everyone has stuck around. And what's even crazy is that Shockwire's picked up. People are like, are you that Super Quest dude? I'm like, holy crap. So the fact that you stuck around basically through the entire time, I admire that. I think that's awesome. But I'm really glad that you just genuinely like what I do. And dude, I genuinely like what you do. I appreciate what you do. I love like seeing your posts. You're playing bigger and bigger shows, playing music that you love with really good people. That's like hard to find and hard to do. So I'm really happy that you're doing that.
Well, I appreciate it. It means the world to me. I mean, I think it's just, at the end of the day, it's kind of like a small world, and like in the sense that it's like musicians helping other musicians out. Because that's what it should be. It should be like a sense of community. And like, obviously I'm in the US and you're in Canada, but it's like, well, I still want to support you with everything you do. And I think that's how it should be, you know?
I agree. The music world would be far better if like the bigger sense of community is there and less more of like cutting into people's teeth for all the wrong reasons.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, John, I want to say thank you so much for, being a guest here on Gig Nightmares, telling some good stories.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much for having it. Thank you very, very much for having me.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Gig Nightmares. Gig Nightmares is an independently produced podcast made possible by the support of listeners like you. If you enjoyed this week's episode, we would appreciate if you left a rating and a review for us. Gig Nightmares.